we're going to change his name today to Little Billy. Mailman's here. So Little Billy takes his math test. And when the test is over, the teacher grades the reports, the tests. And she says to Little Billy, "You stay after school today. I want to ask you some questions." Little Billy comes up to her after school and she says, "Little Billy, there were 10 mathematical questions on this paper. How did you get to 42 as your answer for every single one? I would like you to go sit at the desk and show your work." Well, that's where we are in the Idaho 4 case. How did they get to Brian Kohlberger? And what is your opinion? I'm about to walk you through, in case you're new, I'm going to walk you through where I am in the Idaho 4 case. I'm going to share with you my theory in a nutshell, give or take a few details that I'll probably forget. But I do have other videos where I have worked through this theory over and over, and it's just built into where I am now. And where I am now is, who is the CI, the confidential informant? I wonder who that could be. Let's talk about that. Let's also today in the Idaho 4 case talk about Billy, the prosecution, not wanting to show their work in the IGG. And let's talk about the prosecution trying to tell Brian, hey, you are too late to the party to bring in your alibi. And so we want to quash anybody that would be beside yourself. Like, we don't want you to be able to, in the middle of the trial, to bring up anybody that could back up your alibi. So there is a great deal to cover. And I want to welcome you to 1111 True Crime. Welcome, Lorna. Welcome, Jenny Troglin, Jennifer Swain, Laura Williams. We have an all-star panel today. We're about to get rolling, and we have so much to go over. And I have a great announcement. Some of you are going to be like, yay! And I think about 99% of you are going to be like, oh, wow, that's awesome. So we have so much to get on to. Let's get over and do our thing. Welcome, my beautiful family. Hello, everybody. I'm so happy to have a full house. And we are going to be digging into the CI, the confidential informant, because I think I might have an idea who that could be. A very good probability, okay? But somebody said I waste a lot of time and don't get to the point. Well, that's just who I am. I can't help it. I talk too much, I'm sure. Hey, Mary Owens, Phoenix Rising Fire. You are either on this live with me or you are watching replay. If you are watching replay, I want to shout out a huge thank you to you and all of you in any manner that support the channel, myself, or our 1111 family, and most of all, the silent victims in all the cases that we cover. What we're doing today is I'm going to walk you through a speedy rendition of the basics. Like, I went into detail. I'm going to try to stay out of that. I'm going to try to skim the surface of my theory so that you'll understand why I think this person could be the CI. Okay? I hope that made sense. So, in this theory I have that I haven't been able to shake, it starts off with this brood going on between Frats and Frat members, and we have several, I will just call them mysterious deaths, regardless of what Ellie thinks. In my humble opinion, we have Hudson Lindo, we've got Claire, Hannah Claire, and a couple others. I mean, okay. And I think that people got in the know of this. I really do. And I think one of those people that found out about what was going on was in Sigma Chi and ultimately was Ethan Chapin, one of the victims, in my humble opinion. I believe because he was a second-year fresher That's provable. So if he's a second year fresher, that means that he began his college year, his first year, with Lindo Hudson. And Lindo Hudson passed away, I believe, in April or the beginning of May of 2021. The year, not even a full year, like what, 6 months or something, until Ethan is, as I believe, taken out. So I believe there was hostilities there. I believe there was knowledge. Now, Hudson Lindo and Ethan were in Sigma Chi together. They were not only in the same Sigma Chi, the same frat house as brothers, they had rushed together because they had both been freshmen at the same time. So I believe the brass got into this. I mean, that would make sense to me as a strong motive that I could see passing in a court of law is somebody was going to tell on somebody about, a crime like that where life is lost. And so that to me puts the strongest motive on the table. Now, that doesn't mean there weren't more targets. However, I believe it all came down to that night, and I believe the brass all got into a fight over at Sigma Chi. I believe it ended up at the house when the people were sleeping or had just turned their lights out. No, I don't believe they dozed off. I do have one change I'm going to make to my theory, and it was like epiphany. So I believe that the girls are being escorted home by Jack Showalter because they're fearful. Face it, we've got this little tiny town. Nobody's done anything wrong in the last 7 years except for a bike being stolen, right? So why the high security? Why change locks? Why is there a rumor that came from, I believe, to the best of my knowledge, it was said by Ethan's mother, that Hunter walked Ethan and Xana home that night? Why aren't the two of them walking by themselves? Why are they putting the dog in the other room? Well, I believe the girls returned home after the grub truck through a private driver. Now, he's going to be very, very important in a few minutes. Okay? Hold on just a second, you guys. Sorry, I had to cough. All right. So Kaylee doesn't want to return to Moscow. She's even not even she's like, am I going to take my last test or not? That came from Steve G, her daddy. She wasn't even sure she was going to take that test. She already had the grades. She already had the job. She didn't need the test. She wasn't sure. But she did return. So we do have a heightened sense of security. We have one of the victims' friends, all with her in a smoke shop, telling some, bushy-haired kid that one of them's feeling stalked and watched and all this. There's a sense, an impeding sense of urgency, right? I believe that the girls got home and were nervous. I think they were nervous, especially Kaylee being a sleuth, right? We all know that she was watching and participating. Well, I shouldn't say participating, but taking an interest in Chronicles of Olivia, a very good other fellow gal, a beautiful girl that has her own YouTube channel. So Kaylee's a sleuth. And I believe that when she went to bed, she was like, okay, listen to me. I didn't even want to come home. I'm nervous, right? So I want us to sleep in the smaller bedroom away from that sliding glass door. And I want us to put something down there to block it so it can't be opened. And then we're going to put Murphy in there. And he'll be our sound trigger, our alarm. Like we'll know somebody's in that room. And we do hear about somebody in the PCA that Brett Payne wrote of somebody alluding to there's someone here. Right? And I think that's because, like the other witness allegedly said, they heard somebody say that, and they also heard Murphy bouncing around. They thought somebody was playing with Murphy. What if Murphy was in that room all alone, bouncing around because he can't leave that room? And what if the KILLERs with a 2, in other words, an S, 2, plurally, came in through that window? Would you bite? Or would you flight? Because that could explain a sitting up position. If the person's trying to get out of bed to get to the door and they're knocked back into you and you're both attacked simultaneously. What if that little window was used right there in Maddie's room? Because they may not have thought about that window because they were on the 3rd level. And they may have been thinking there's no stairs up here. But then again, they were thinking about, in this series, the sliding glass door. But it is possible that they thought it was locked. I don't know. I'm just throwing it out there. Either way, I believe that 2 intruders came into the girls' room at the exact same time that I believe 2 intruders came up off that ladder. And I don't think they had to do much but prop it open and climb up there and go through Ethan and Xana's room. Okay? And at the very same time, both sets are no more. And that's why we don't have 911 calls. We don't have tracks of any blood allegedly throughout the entire house, except for the rooms were a bloodbath. Okay? It also explains to me why Chief Fry would say that the doors were locked when the officers arrived from the outside of the victims' rooms. Well, not locked from the outside, but locked to them on the outside. They couldn't get in the room. How would Hunter check on him? Where would Steve G have been getting all these weird details that he claims to have all these leaks from? Well, we know, you guys, where Steve G got one of the leaks, which has helped all of us. The private driver is actually the one that let Steve G know, and Olivia, the sister to Kaylee, and the father and the mother, of the grub truck video. He knew when the girls got home. He had a lot of information to provide to the G family. And it did get, some of it got provided to us. Now, let's get into the real crap here. Because the same man went later, weeks later, into a news report that has been dropped like it was a hot potato and everybody ran from it, where he claimed that he was the tip for Kohlberger and that he is the private driver and that he lives a few, quote, feet. I don't know how many feet, but he used feet, not miles, not the same town, but feet to Kohlberger's door. Right? So if they can't show their IGG work, is it possible that they used a confidential informant such as that private driver who had a very interesting Pinterest, which I'm not going to bring on here? Ooh, I got that truth train blaring through so super slow. It's like hardly moving and just screaming. There's that truth train. Hey, Dixie Bishop. Fruity Pebbles, hello, lovely. The grub truck, right. We all know where the grub truck video came from. We also know where Olivia got the information because the private driver contacted Olivia. And that's how they knew for a fact it was not an Uber. They also were told about the grub truck because the private driver had picked up Kaylee and Maddie from the grub truck. So, I mean, I don't feel like it's a jump to think that this individual, after giving a report to a news station a few weeks later, saying he is the tip to Kohlberger, that he lived a few feet within blah, 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 blah. You guys, think about it. Think about it. This guy, this driver, he could be the one that's running the narrative. Hey, Dixie Bishop, thank you, lovely, for gifting 5 memberships. Dana Lynn says that private driver got his name scrubbed from the internet. Oh, you guys, it's nowhere. I promise you I cannot find this man. Hey, Jacqueline, Natalie Poole, Sweet and Salty, Wendy, Karen Guy, El Borque. Thank you all for becoming Starlight members. Well, Kieran Gaia is already, but I just want to say thank you humbly for joining, and thank you so very much, Dixie Bishop. That was such a kind, generous offer. Thank you, lovely. Fruity Pebble says, and even the grub truck info was further disseminated by Garrett's discovery, who admitted giving it to Gray. So I got to thinking about where's all the leaks coming to G from? The G family? Well, think about what they've told you. They've made it abundantly clear that the private driver can be trusted because he is a friend of the family. And then I got to thinking, holy crap, what if he wrote the whole Papa Rogers crap? Because if it was Kohlberger, it went live after Kohlberger was already arrested and in custody. So, who had control of the Papa Rogers account? You feel me? Somebody that wants to take all the credit and control the narrative? And why would he benefit? How would he benefit? Well, he's basically an Uber. Oh, wait a minute. The private driver's wife. Oh, yeah. It's like an epiphany. Works for somebody very important in the law department. You put the math together. So if Wifey is actually working at the police department, oh boy. Then we get into a little bit of a pickle. Because can we really tell everybody? Or is it going to be a big hassle in court about a conflict of interest and bias? Just asking. Sherry Cross says, also, Dylan had the codes to all the rooms, so she let herself and the perps into the girls' bedrooms, in my opinion. And you could be right. We don't know. You could be right. Sherlock Kendra Bryan's an alibi. How would private driver even be a witness except he drove? The girls got home at 1:56, way prior to cop timeline. I didn't say he was a witness, lovely. I'm saying I believe he is a CI, turning in Kohlberger. And here's why. Because he said he was. He said he was a tip that led law enforcement to Kohlberger. Because he lived Pete from Kohlberger. So it would be awful quinky-dinky to be the actual private driver, and then also those people get killed, and then also you live next door to the person that did it. Are you feeling me? I smell a rat. Anybody else smell a rat? She said he was a leak. Fruity Pebbles. That's what I'm saying. I think he's the one that is like, and I'm not saying he had anything to do with the crime. I just, in my humble opinion, I feel it's high probability that he is the confidential informant, and that's why they can't show their work, because they did not go about it in the right way. Open Mind Perspective says, I truly have no words. Carl Thomas has the same question we all have. Who, if anyone, responded to the 4 a.m. DoorDash? Now, I want to take you guys on to another case about DoorDash to understand something. In the Caleb Harris case, it was alleged that he had ordered DoorDash, all right? But DoorDash was found just sitting outside. There was no Caleb. Nobody signed for the DoorDash. Nobody paid for the DoorDash. The DoorDash driver set it down and left. And that is generally what will happen, because it has to be paid for, usually before the driver's going to come all that way with it. So they don't really give a crap if you get it. They're like, yeah, I can put it on the curb. I'll put it in your mom's house if you want me to, but I'll put it at the curb. I'm just saying, the point is, we don't know that anybody received that DoorDash because at 8:30 a.m. or before 8:30 a.m., we have various neighbors that went on the news and stated that that front door was wide open. So for all we know, that door could have been open from the very get-go. Like somebody left the door wide open and the killer simply walked in, shut the door behind them, committed the crime, leapt out the windows because there's just no blood between the rooms. And like I told you, my scenario is that, Dolly and the juror is standing in the house, in my opinion, in my mind, and they're like looking at the clean carpet and they're like, okay, wait a minute. So 2 people was killed in there in a blood bath, but there's all this carpet and stairs and wood and all this, and then 2 people killed upstairs, but there's nothing in between but this little latent footprint. And that's why the house came down. Because one person can't have done the crime, in my opinion, and left it that clean. So, to me, knowing that he is working with the G family, and the G family keeps talking about the Hyundai Elantra, the Hyundai Elantra, the white Hyundai Elantra, blah, 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 blah. And this dude lives next to Kohlberger with the Hyundai Elantra, blah, 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 blah. And they're looking for a Hyundai Elantra, blah, 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 blah. You feel me? I mean, we could go on and on and on, but the math is all there. The guy allegedly lives within feet of Kohlberger. He said it himself. He went on a public platform, a newspaper, and said he is the reason that Kohlberger was arrested. He said, I was the tip that led them to Kohlberger. He said that. And now he's basically been scrubbed from the internet and we hear no more? Because there's a damn gag order. Who knows if that's his real name? It could be Grower, it could be Goer. So my problem with this is, if he is the one that's feeding the narrative into the prosecution, but he saw something that he probably didn't, let's just put it this way. What if he got home late and happened, because we don't know, there's a gag order, and if he was a true witness, what if he passed Kohlberger in that white Hyundai Elantra, leaving the house at 2:30 whatever, leaving the apartment complex, because they live close enough. We both know that the private driver dropped the girls off and then probably had a few more runs and then went home. Right? Would he have been coming home about the same time Kohlberger's leaving? They see each other and he calls this in. All right? Now, if this isn't Kohlberger in this white car, which we don't even know if it's a Hyundai Elantra, we don't even have a license plate, you can't tell the make, you can't tell the year, it is a white car, we think. In daylight, it could be yellow for all we know. It's a black and white footage. But it's a white car. Now we have Billy Thompson here, Billy Boy, getting ticked off, basically, I feel, in my humble opinion. Now, I'm not a legal beagle. I have no legal training that way. But this is my humble opinion. I feel like Kohlberger has said, yeah, I left my apartment. I went on a drive. In the beginning, that's what he said. I was driving around in my car. And they were like, come on, you have this amount of time to come up with an answer where exactly you were with your car. So he says, well, hold on a minute. I know where I was, but I need to be able to prove where I was. We have a federal investigation into this crime who is producing a thing called a cast report. Once that cast report is handed to me, I will have the ability to prove where exactly I am. Until then, you're just going to have to settle with the fact I was in my car. And they've been fighting that. But they wouldn't hand over the full cast report. They wouldn't hand it over. But they keep saying, well, he was on this route, on this road, at this time, and this way, and his phone was off. So he can't deny it. But now, wait a minute, he gets all this information, and boom, we have an expert, Cyree, that can say, here's the proof Brian said. If he had the cast report, he would be able to produce. Or the phone data, or whatever data this is, right? I have the expert now because I have the data. So I can produce an answer that's equivalent to saying, here is proof of what I tell you is true. Okay. Now the prosecution's like, hold on. A little too late. Wait a minute. You can do what now? You can prove you were somewhere else. Well, we've already spent, we've got a lot of money on the table here. We made a big steak dinner and we got really good wine and we just can't allow that kind of party going on in our fine establishment. And so what we're going to say is that, you took too long. Yeah, but you think that the feds work for you, apparently. But the feds are neutral third party. And the information was due me. It was mine to have in the first place. You stalled. You didn't hand me what I asked you for. And until you did, I was unable to provide an answer. And therefore, you can't pull this shit that I took too long. But we're going to ask the judge about that and see if you took too long, because I think there's some laws that are going to apply about you taking too long. And so what we're going to ask the judge to do is basically say that you can't have anybody talk about anything for you, no expert witness, no real witness, nobody. Like, you can only talk about yourself. Because, well, off the record, in my humble opinion, you would impeach our lead investigator, Brett, and then it would make his PCA look absolutely ridiculous, like he was coloring. And it would just make us look like assholes. It would really make us look really poor. But on the record, we just want to say there is a rule that you can't go this long without answering us. So we just want to remove the problem so that nobody can listen to Cyree. Hey, Nick Trumer. You said the private car was 100% a Ford Mustang. Not a coincidence. A red Mustang is found bleached out and has a legit forensic team working in it. Hazmats. Boom. Nick, thank you for that snooper chat. And you get 5 gold stars. You just brought it home, baby. Is that what that red Mustang, Ford Mustang, just up the road that got ditched, is that gone? And nobody look over here because it had evidence? Oh, I would just love to be a fly on the wall and know all the answers, right? But at this point, the prosecution being little Billy in class and just saying, well, yeah, 42 is the answer I have for all answers. Even when the teacher says, but Billy, let's look at number 2. Have you seen, heard, or read that 2 plus 6 is 42? Have you seen, read, or heard that 2 plus 6 is 42, Billy? No? Okay. So in other words, you're not 100% sure how you came to your answer. You just may have grabbed an answer out of the woodwork? Billy, go sit down at your desk. I want you to do your work. I want you to write out the path you took to come up to the 42 on answer number 2. Just do that much right now. We'll get to the other answers where you've answered 42 for 10 plus 10, for 9 minus 3, and for 1 plus one. We'll get to those. But let's start with this. How did you come up with Kohlberger to start with? Let's start there. And then we're going to get into the IGG. Because you're not going to say 42 is your answer no matter what and blah, blah, blah. Because the feds work for both sides of this case. And that is a fact, sir. And the fact is we needed the information that the FBI and the other experts were working on and getting. But if you would quit squelching and belching and throwing a damn fit every time the defense is trying to do their job and you don't have control of the narrative, this would go a lot faster. Or should we have another blame meeting to see who's stalling? Just saying, you guys, it gets me heated. I'm working on the Karen Reed case. Let me tell you, go study that. You're going to be prepared for Kohlberger's case. Without watching Karen Reed's case, you are not going to be prepared for Kohlberger's case. Because it's based on the same thing. And that is that you may have a corruption of law, or I'll just say LE, right? That is doing their own investigation. And therefore, it may turn into a third party culprit being the guilty party from the defense's standpoint. And the more you're aware of how that's going to play out in the Karen Reed case and how you can turn it from everybody and their brother getting their pitchforks after Karen to all of a sudden understanding we have some serious damn questions. Let me ask you this. Have you ever seen a head wound bleed? It's like an open sieve. Now, think of a fatal head wound and you're laying in snow. If you received that wound at that location, you would be laying in a puddle of blood. No matter where you are, the crime scene would have a puddle of blood. Even if you're laying on the ground, there's a puddle of blood. The ground's not just going to absorb it. That can be picked up with a shovel, taken in, and the blood will be there. Not only that, but you're on snow. It's literally snowing all around you, on you. None of the snow turns bright red. But yet Karen Reed's on trial. Well, I'll tell you right now, wherever that blood is the crime scene. End of story. So there obviously is something to the corruption. We're finding out that it's in many places. And the question is, how much was reliant on somebody that may have had an ulterior motive to be the CI? Tiffany Crockett says Ann gave Bill 13 times to hand over gas. Bill thought Ann was playing with him. Nope. You did this to yourself, Bill, and y'all had the audacity to say firing squad. Boom! Tiffany, I gotta pin ya. You got it, baby girl. You got it. How do I do that? Ah, there it is. Good job. Good job. Love Tina says no one has come forward with anything to put Brian at the scene. And Cy he wouldn't have bothered coming out if he didn't think he could help. So that is where it's at. Boom. Good job. Too much info. Wouldn't there have been a GPS on the car or something? I mean, a white car is wrecked. A red car was on fire. Wasn't it torched or something? I don't know, love. I've never heard that it was on fire. I personally never heard that. Doesn't mean it's not true. I'm just saying. Lisa Hedrick says a lot of shady people in this case. And you guys, if character speaks anything, the first responders in this case were involved in another case where the evidence that they of their actual vest cam while on duty didn't show up. They didn't have it. They didn't have it for a year. And then when they were like forced by one member saying, well, yeah, we guess we do have that footage. Because then it was like incriminating, right, to them. They never got the audio to it. They silenced it. They muted the entire video for court. These are the first responders. They didn't find the knife sheath. Why not? How could you not see that? How could you not see it if it's visible from the door? Right? It just really gets to me. Carl Thomas, good to see you. DM's position in house during DoorDash, crucial to this case. If she was in the house. Unfortunately, there is so much doubt in this case, I can't even imagine how this is going to come out on paper and in trial. Because there's no stake in the ground. It's a complete marsh out there, and, where are you going to build from? Where's the foundation of the case? It's in the marsh, where the university turned it into marsh. The minute that the house was destroyed, there was no place to put a stake in the ground because the foundation literally, I feel like I'm on Saturday Night Live, literally crumbled to the ground. And there's no more place to put a stake in the ground. Oh, this terrible web that they have weaved. Natalie pulled. They pulled him over twice with the murderers and twice after for the same thing, basically, which is odd. So they must have had an eye on him. I'm gonna give you guys a DNA walk for a minute. Everybody's like, well, they could have got his DNA off of anything. No, that is not true. You have to be very, very careful. Because if you want to frame someone, you have to know that they're the only one that ever touched it. Otherwise, you're going to get other people in trouble. In order to know that the person was the only one to touch it, right? Unless they smoke or they're a heavy drinker, would be their license. Now, if they smoke, they may have to give their license to a stranger to buy tobacco. Or if they're a heavy drinker, they may have to hand their license over to get checked for ID. So you'd have a lot of people on it. But if you're a non-smoker, non-drinker, chances are very likely, highly likely, that the only DNA on your license is your own. Interesting. I don't know, you guys. What do you feel? What do you feel? I mean, this whole idea where have anybody talk about your alibi? It's too late. We don't want to hear about no Ray. Why? Does it impeach your PCA? Does it basically say that your PCA is incorrect? WSU mom, Kim says, I don't think Brian's writings about being vacant, etc., was depression, drug use maybe, but narcissistic. If he was a narcissist, he could not ponder the things he did. He is too self-aware, in my opinion. Chat jumped in the middle. Carl Thomas says, second Chapin car parked out front of King Road House the morning after... Whoops, I just lost your thing. Just give me a minute. Okay, I'm going to reread it. Carl Thomas says, second Chapin car parked out front of King Road House the morning after highly suspicious. We drove it there. What time? Who drove it there? What time and why? Well, and it makes me wonder if it was there possibly because Maisie went to a Betty ball with Ethan, her triplet. And if I'm not mistaken, Hunter was there too. So what may have happened is over towards the King Road house, parked in their driveway, and then they went to the ball together. And then they just simply walked over to Sigma Chi. Not sure where Maisie would have went though. But I do want to bring up Bethany Funk. You guys do realize that Bethany Funk allegedly was at Sigma Chi after Ethan and Xana. That she stayed at Sigma Chi. And I'm wondering, how long did she stay? And is that the exculpatory evidence that Bethany knows is what went down and who left the room and how they left the room and what was said after Ethan and Xana walked out that door after a fight at Sigma Chi. Because we know Bethany was at the party. But what was said, you guys? What does she know? What does she know? Oh, Jennifer Swain! Oh, my darling, thank you, lovely. You are so Jennifer. You are so Jennifer. I wanted to say generous, but that is synonymous with your name, Jennifer, because you consistently give large snooper chats. That $50 snooper chat means the world to me. Thank you, sweetheart. Thank you. Miles, welcome to 1111 True Crime. You said before 2024 September, it will be over. Best scenario. Oh, it won't be over. I don't believe we're going to go to trial till 2005. Ooh, I'm buffering. Broody Pebbles says, yes, his sister's card. Weird. And yes, she was there for the Betty's ball. Right. As says, also don't forget, any not guilty person struck in jail will look crazier and crazier over time. I think prosecution knows and loves us, in my opinion. Nick Trumer, thank you. Oh my gosh, you guys. Thank you for the snooper chat. Did I heart Jennifer's? Hold on. I'll be right. Oh, I can't. It won't let me. What is it? Oh, it tells me to buy my own sticker by click yours, Jen Lovely. Thank you, Jen. Jennifer Swain is amazing. She is consistently, generously donating to our cause. So thank you, love. Nick Trumer, thank you for that $10 snooper chat. You are incredible. Thank you. You say, why would cops, not EMS, inside to check? They are well equipped in blood and brutal car accidents, so a house of blood. Whoa! What? Hold on, you guys. Give me a minute. I've got to get rid of that ad or something. It just started 2 days ago. Nick Trumer, again, thank you. You say, why would cops, not EMS, inside to check? They are well equipped in blood and brutal car accidents, so a house of blood. Plus, the ME didn't arrive for 5 hours to pronounce death. Right? Boom, boom, boom. Like that's a domino. Boom, boom, boom. We have the first responders not even being like, all right, EMTs, come in and check them. No. Ooh, that's so wrong in my book. I just can't. I can't accept it. Carly Miles says, BK out and the case would go on. Real perps, best case scenario. Emma McCourt says, slightly behind you, but you had me on Billy Boy talking about pain. Do you know that Cy Ray was in the house with the defense team carrying a big box of tricks? Ooh, I did not know that. If they've had Cy Ray in their back pocket that long. Now, y'all keep in mind, Cy Ray is not just some nut job. This is a dude that normally and always in the past was always working for a prosecution because he's a slam dunk, in my opinion. He knows his stuff. He's got so much credentials. I just did the Sylvester. Blah. So much credentials. It's just beyond real. And so for him to be working on the defense's team with Ann Taylor, y'all, and be able to say, Ann Taylor say, he is about to drop it like it's hot in your damn lap. And all of a sudden the prosecution's like, get rid of him. We don't want to hear it. We don't want to hear it. Hey, judge. They're talking without raising their hand. I don't care if they have the right answer. They're talking. They didn't raise their hand, so they can't talk. They can't answer it. Right? Now, we're going to talk about this for a minute. Carrie and Skincare Carrie says, if O'Keefe had any snow underneath him, then boom, it wasn't a blizzard till 12:30 a.m. I'm not saying underneath him necessarily, but all around him. But you're right. If there's snow underneath him, you're right. But I can't start with the Karen Reed case right now because I'm still watching trial. I'm still editing and working and getting stuff ready for that. And if I start on that case, I'll lose my mind. You can't hear me? Sherry Krause? Did it end? Yes, no sound. Whoa. Hello? Am I here? I don't know. YouTube just went whoop again. I think it's over. Man, I think we just lost our live. Are we live? Yours ended too. It ended. Okay. Love you.